order. Village Council Public Work Session at 7:30 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to the same as provided by law of the schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Reynolds is not here. Deputy Mayor Seaton.
Here.
Councilman Vagianos.
Here.
And Mayor Knudsen is not here.
All right. Please rise and join me in a flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in a moment of silence for all of our first responders and all those around the world suffering from the effects of war and violence. Okay, thank you. All right, we'd like to open up public comments, not to exceed 3 minutes per person, 40 minutes in total. Welcome. Name and address, please.
Good evening. Ellie Gruber, 229 South Irving. I'm here tonight representing the Climate Committee of the League of Women Voters of Ridgewood. We're asking the village to enact an effective noise control ordinance. We have one ordinance prohibiting loud train whistles and machinery with no actual decibel levels, and another recently passed which increases the times of day and days prohibiting loud equipment. There's no sense in passing an ordinance without indicating what you consider as noise. In fact, as I said, one ordinance says train whistles shouldn't be too loud, and I don't know what that means. To this end, we prepared a handout, a fact sheet about the real damage from increased decibel levels on the health and welfare of residents. Most of the increase in decibel levels comes from gas-powered lawn equipment. This equipment clearly violates the New Jersey Noise Control Statute, NJSA 729, as well as the model municipal noise ordinance listed on the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Noise Control website. In fact, the DEP states that the Noise Control Act allows municipalities to adopt noise control ordinances that are more stringent than the state code. I'm going to send you this page electronically because there's a link. And with your permission, I'm going to hand out copies of our fact sheet and a model municipal noise ordinance. Ridgewood's not alone in neglecting this issue, but things are changing as residents are bombarded with increased decibel levels. Once the warmer weather arrives, with windows open and people sitting on their porches or lawns, the sound will carry further. Over a dozen towns in Bergen County have noise ordinances, and Montvale's ordinance passed late last year, and it's very specific about decibel levels. So thank you. I'm going to hand these out.
Thank you. Thanks. Good, more reading material. Just what I need. Thank you. You could probably just give them to Heather and she'll get them to him.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments? Okay. Name and address for the record, please.
Rorik Harvey, 1 Franklin Avenue. 4 items. One, the master plan cost. At the last meeting, Susan Knudsen handed me an envelope which contained the cost so far of the master plan. It was in partial.
I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm not sure why. Try pulling that mic closer.
Okay.
Can you start again? I'm sorry.
Oh, you bet. Start me again. Okay. Sure. Rorick Hallaby, 1 Franklin Avenue. 4 items. 1, the master plan cost. At the last meeting, Susan Knudsen handed me an envelope which contained the cost so far of the master plan. It was in partial response to my request for information on the status of the master plan. I am formally returning the response to the village clerk, as the information belongs to the residents and not just to me. It should be posted on the website. My second point is at the last village council meeting, I handed my friend Bob Rooney a list of questions regarding the parking utility and the parking enforcement unit. I have yet to receive an answer. When can I expect an answer? For the record, I'm handing my questions again to the village clerk. And again, we're told the CFO does not have the time to have a public meeting, but we can call him up for answers, which I think is the wrong thing to do for questions. So I have not received a question in 2 weeks. Is it going to be another 2 weeks, another month? I have no idea. Repaving of Franklin Avenue. For the umpteenth time, when will the village manager provide us with an answer? When will it be repaved? My last point deals with the revocation of the ethics violation of Paul Aronson and Roberta Sonnenfeld. For the record, I'm also handing the village clerk, to be included in the minutes of tonight's meeting, a letter dated April 11, 2022, from the chair of the local finance board to Judge Anthony Tisconea. The last sentence in the letter states, "It is further determined and hereby ordered that the original notice of violation issued by the board on November 13, 2017 is revoked, and that Mayor Paul Aronson and village manager Roberta Sonnenfeld did not violate NJSA 40A 922.5c. I know Paul and Roberta well. They define decency, goodness, and integrity. It is unfortunate what they had to endure these past 5 years. I understand that Lorraine Reynolds, who's not here tonight, filed a suit against Paul and Roberta. If Ms. Reynolds is so concerned about ethics in government, why had she done nothing when the present village manager was described by the appellate court ruling in One Village, One Vote as having acted unlawfully? Thank you.
Okay, name and record, name and address for the record.
I know what you said, Michael, but I don't think we can hear you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Okay. No one can hear anybody. So, hi, I'm Siobhan Cram Winograd, 274 Ivy Place. I wanted to come and say that last Thursday I attended a fairly awesome meeting that both Paul from Parks and Rec and Pam from Open Space held downstairs. It was a collaboration, and it was a really cool meeting to talk about the vision for both open space and parks. And I just think you should both be complimented, and I thought it was a really organic, fun meeting that talked about, you know, how we all see Ridgewood. And it's going to have an interface into the master plan, and I thought it was great. So congratulations and thank you for having it. I did think it was a little odd because some other members of the council attended. They didn't participate, but I think everybody should know that it was a really great meeting. After the meeting, though, I had to give pause because a lot of people were asking about the current status of several parcels of land, including Shedler. And a lot of the questions people were asking, I could answer from the narrative that I've got going in probably the longest email ever in Ridgewood, but the website's still not updated. You know, if you're a person and you want to find out after that meeting, and there were a lot of people looking into it because it was our last open space purchase, there's a lot of confusion. The ad hoc committee plan that Ellie and everybody worked on is not on the project tab. The 2 plans that were submitted in secret are on there but not highlighted as rejected. And the last 2 submissions which occurred aren't on there. So when you have these conversations, you want people in the community to draw upon fact, and no one can do that. It's everyone, I'll send you the email, this is what I think is going on. So, as we begin to talk about important things, we need to acknowledge that where we're at with this project is not good, and the public does not understand what's going on. Even when I came here in December, there was massive confusion amongst the council. So I'm here tonight to say, one, I was given assurances after kind of an unfortunate council meeting that there would be a statement of clarity. That has not occurred. I've written a lot of emails, like seriously, let's be honest, there's a ton of emails that I've written about this, and the project tab is outdated. Parks Department doesn't know what's going on. The Parks and Rec Committee doesn't know what's going on. And I really think if we're going to begin to envision where we're going, we need to know where we are now. So I'm hoping you guys can address this. I mean, it seems outside the status of the project, I think we should all agree that the information should be updated. And I think we should all, just being honest, agree that we all agreed the last time I was here making this agreement that we said that was going to happen, and it hasn't. So if you need any help, let me know. If you need anything from me, I'm here to help make anything happen. Even if I don't like it, I just think at this point the community deserves to know. Thanks.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing none. Village Manager's report.
Okay, hold on 1 minute. Graden Pool early bird discounted rates for Ridgewood residents is only until this Saturday, April 30th. Preseason in-person badge sales will take place Saturdays, May 14th and 21st from 10 a.m. to noon at the Graden Pool badge office. Please bring documentation. Graden opening day is Saturday, June 4th, 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. A Ridgewood Mobile Confidential Documented Shredding event will take place at Graden Pool parking lot this Saturday, April 30th from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. or until the truck is full. It will be held rain or shine. It's sponsored by the Ridgewood Recycling Department. There's a limit of 4 boxes or paper bags of documents. No plastic bags are allowed. Please put these items into your trunk, and please arrive earlier in the day because usually the truck fills up prior to the end time of 12:30, and once the truck is full, that's it. I just want to mention we have had a lot of stolen motor vehicles. In April so far, we've had 4, and actually that's 2 in the last 3 days. Stolen motor vehicles in Ridgewood for 2022 so far are 12. Statewide, in March, it was 1,231 vehicles, and statewide 2022 so far for New Jersey is 4,139 vehicles have been stolen. I just want to let you know that all of the stolen vehicles in Ridgewood had key fobs in them. So even the people that said they didn't leave it in, if they don't know where their second fob is, that probably that fob was in their vehicle. This is a trend that statewide most of the stolen vehicles have key fobs left in them. Some of those even account for vehicles left running and for carjacking, which is also increasingly increasing drastically. There have been 74 carjackings so far this year statewide. I do highly recommend and implore you all to take your fobs out of your cars. Please bring them into your homes. Do not leave them right inside your garage door, because if they get into your garage and that door isn't locked to your garage, they can get the fobs. Please. That's the way to protect your vehicles. The 11th Ridgewood Guild International Film Festival is being held at Bowtie Cinemas, Warner Theater tonight and tomorrow night. This annual event provides film entertainment that covers a wide variety of genres and gives independent film artists a platform for sharing their work with audiences that might not otherwise have the opportunity to see them. I do want to say that the Ridgewood Village Council is looking for residents who are interested in volunteering to serve on the following boards and committees. The Central Business District Advisory Committee, there are 2 openings for Ridgewood business owners in the Central Business District. The Ridgewood Community Center Advisory Board, there are 2 openings. One is a position for a Ridgewood resident with a child in the Ridgewood school system, and the other position is for a Ridgewood adult resident. Project Pride, the Ridgewood Arts Council, and Green Ridgewood. Please send a letter of interest, a resume or biography
and the Citizen Volunteer Leadership Forum, which is found on the tile on the website entitled Employment and Volunteer Opportunities, to Eileen Young, our Deputy Village Clerk at Ridgewood Village Hall, or eyoung@ridgewoodnj.net with the subject line Volunteer for Board or Committee. The deadline for submissions is May 16th. Ridgewood Parks and Recreation Summer Day Camp for grades 1 to 6 is being offered weekdays, Tuesday, June 28th to Friday, August 5th. Registration is through Community Pass. August mini camps are also registering at this time. Effective May 3rd, 2022, Ridgewood has a new tree ordinance that requires a permit to remove trees on all private property and replacement of those trees or payment towards replacement trees elsewhere in the village. On Wednesday, May 4th, a ban on plastic and paper bags at grocery stores will begin. You will need to bring reusable bags to the grocery store to carry the items that you purchase. Please make plans to have reusable bags available for your shopping needs. Essentially, everyone has to bring their own reusable bag because the grocery stores cannot give out paper bags either. So you must have your own bags. Also, the clamshell styrofoam containers, which are used by many eateries, have also been banned. May 4th is also the dog rabies clinic from 6 to 7 p.m. at Graden Pool parking lot. New Jersey state law requires all dogs 7 months and older to be registered with the village, and the dog must have a rabies vaccine with the immunity not expiring before May 1st, 2023 in order to be registered. To receive a discount for a spayed or neutered pet, proof must be provided. The Chamber of Commerce Spring Sidewalk Sale Days will be May 12th to 14th, and at the same time on May 12th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. will be Touch a Truck at Memorial Park at Van Ness Square. It provides young children an opportunity to get close and touch several large village vehicles and smaller equipment, including a fire department truck, police car, garbage truck, water department trucks, ambulances, emergency services. There are also children's activities, story time, as well as giveaways from several departments. The senior bus, all restrictions have been lifted from the senior bus. The bus has a 12-passenger capacity and will take reservations for that number of riders for Tuesdays and Thursdays. Every other Wednesday, the second and fourth week, they go to ShopRite and Wyckoff, so there'll be slightly less riders so that they have room for the grocery bags. The Ridgewood Health Department will be hosting a Moderna COVID-19 vaccine booster clinic on May 11th from 2 to 3 p.m. here in Village Hall, first floor. Pre-registration is required. It's open to Ridgewood residents, school employees, and village employees. You may register by going to www.ridgewoodnj.net/COVID-registration. The registration link will be open from May 8th at 8:30 a.m. to May 9th at 4:30 p.m. This was in the e-notice that went out on Monday. Someone tried to register, and of course it's not May 8th yet, so that's why the person couldn't register. So you can't register till May 8th. We're coming into warmer weather, so just remember standing water is a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Just remember to eliminate standing water on your property, remove water from swimming pool covers. Small depressions in your yard can be filled to prevent the collection of water. Make sure windows and door screens are properly fitted and holes patched. And you could also call the Bergen County Mosquito Control or Bergen County Department of Health Services for additional information. If you're interested in an outing to the 2022 Philadelphia Flower Show, Ridgewood Parks and Recreation is offering a day trip scheduled for June 13th. Further details and reservations can be made on Community Pass or in person at the stable or phone 201-670-5560. Free radon test kits are available at the Bergen County Department of Health Services. You can call 201-634-2804. Please sign up for e-notices. There's a lot going on this spring and summer and into the fall. It was quiet for a while. Not a lot was going on. It was cold. No one was going out, really. And we had the uptick in the Omicron variant. But now a lot's going on, so please subscribe so you do know what's going on in Ridgewood. Village Council upcoming meetings are broadcast live on the Village website and Channel 34 on FiOS, and the meetings are also available on YouTube. Upcoming meetings, May 4th, May 25th, and June 1st are all work sessions at 7:30 p.m., and May 11th is our Village Council public meeting at 8 p.m. That's all.
Thank you for the report. Now we'll move on to council reports. Councilwoman Perrin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Open Space Committee met with the Parks and Recreation Board, as you heard from one of our commenters. It was a really interesting evening where various segments of our community, the gardeners spoke, and then the sports people spoke, and it was a really lively discussion with the focus of how to preserve open space or even create open space going forward. And it was moderated by Barbara Davis of the New Jersey Conservancy for Public Lands. No, I got that backwards, but you get the idea. She is drafting the open space plan, which would be incorporated into the master plan. Also, CBDAC met, the Central Business District Advisory Committee, and we discussed various things like the proposal perhaps to reduce the speed limit in the downtown to 20 miles an hour. We thought the consensus was in our committee that you can't really go much faster than 20 miles an hour downtown, but we didn't finish our discussion because we asked the chief of police to let us know what are the really hot spots in town in terms of lack of safety. And then we also discussed grab and go. The consensus on that was that the grab and go parking spots downtown should continue because they are so good for all the businesses downtown. It really is conducive to more customers coming downtown and patronizing our businesses. We also have a guild liaison, and I wanted to tell you all about the International Film Festival, which is going on right now, this week. And they have a lineup right now at Bowtie's Cinema of just mouth-watering films to see. Animation, student films, documentaries, musical videos. It's so creative. It really puts Ridgewood on the map. I mean, we could be Sundance. So the other thing I wanted to tell you all is that we have 2 vacancies. Oh, yes, the village manager told you about that. But actually, Heather, it's businesses anywhere in Ridgewood when I look at the bylaws. Now, maybe we should reconsider that. And because I think that is our focus. Let's see. And I also wanted to mention, you all probably know about Ridgecrest, the low-income senior and disability housing just on the other side of the railroad tracks. And the Ridgewood High School Community Outreach Club is running Toiletry Tuesday on May 3rd. And you can bring detergent, soap, toilet paper, paper towels, all kinds of things like that. They desperately need them. This is when they get their supplies basically for the year. So if you could bring them between 3 and 5 o'clock on Tuesday, May 3rd, to, I think it's, the address is 711 Ridge Road. And, or you can do a direct donation to their website, which is www.ridgecrestseniorhousing.org/make-a-donation. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Councilman Vagianos?
Yeah, I have nothing in addition to report, but I want to emphasize a couple of things that Pam talked about. First, the PRC Open Space joint meeting, which is designed to figure out if there are other properties that we can acquire as a village to create more open space and what we might use it for. You know, one of the things that we always want to see more of is unity. And I will tell you, there were people from all different walks at that meeting, sports groups, seniors, younger people. And the beautiful thing about this was that everyone recognized everyone else's need for open space. it wasn't the sports group saying, look, we need more fields. That's the way it's got to be. Everyone recognized that, yeah, we need more fields, but we definitely need more passive recreational space for seniors, for families, more playground space, and vice versa. It was one of the most productive meetings I have ever been to. Not since I've been on the council, ever. And that is the kind of community that we have and that I love to see. It made me so happy. I walked out of there smiling. So I just want to say that I think that we're all moving in the right direction. And as far as Toiletry Tuesday, which we got to come up with a better name, but be that as it may, I'm talking to everybody at home. This is a lower income community for seniors in our community. Our community. This isn't something that we have to send thousands of miles away. They need lots of things. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Bring stuff. Go into your linen closet, pull out toiletry needs, everything you can think of. They need everything. If you don't want to do that, go buy something. If you don't want to do that, bring a check. Come on, this is our community. We have to be there for them. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. And as far as me, I have a Ridgewood Arts Council meeting tomorrow, and that's all I have to report. So with that, I'd like to take a motion to suspend the work session and convene a special public meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Perrin.
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynolds is not here. Deputy Mayor Seaton.
Yes.
Councilman Vagianos.
Yes.
And Mayor Newsom is not here.
All right. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to the same as provided by law of the schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. A roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perrin.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Seaton.
Here.
Councilman Vagianos.
Here.
All right. Let's go into our public hearing on Ordinance 3895, establish a cap bank. I move the clerk read Ordinance 3895 by title on second reading, and that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Calendar year 2022 ordinance to exceed the municipal.
Do we need the roll call?
Oh,
Roll
I'm
call.
sorry. Okay. Councilwoman Perrin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Seaton.
Yes.
And Councilman Vagianos.
Yes.
Okay. Now will the clerk
Now
please
I'll
read the
read it.
title of the ordinance? Thank you.
Very good. Calendar year 2022 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
The public hearing is now open. Okay. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Councilwoman Perrin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Seaton.
Yes.
Councilman Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that that Ordinance 3895 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Councilwoman Perrin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Seaton.
Yes.
Councilman Vagianos.
Yes.
All right. The following resolutions, numbered 22-150 through 22-153, are to be adopted by consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. There is a brief description beside each resolution to be considered on the consent agenda. Each resolution will be read by title only.
Adopt 2022 budget as amended. Award contract lease of Peace Building and rescind Resolution 22-143. Appoint member to Planning Board and appoint member to Cashew Shell Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Perrin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Seaton.
Yes.
And Councilman Vagianos.
Yes.
May I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. It was a long trip, but here we are again. Can we get the, we'll move on to the presentation.
Yes.
From-
So our presentation is a Ridgewood Recycling Food Waste Project update. Sean Hamlin, our Supervisor of Recycling and Sanitation, and Rich Calby are here to present the findings of the pilot program.
Good evening, Mr. Calby, Mr. Hamlin, welcome. I'm very excited about this presentation. Been waiting for it for a while.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I want to apologize. I did plan to have this on a PowerPoint, but it was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be putting this together. So we get some old-fashioned hands-on work today.
Not being the big technology guy that I am, you don't have to apologize to me, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'm not as big a technology guy as Mike.
So first off, I really want to just, I invited some of our participants for this program here tonight, but I guess they're not going to come. But I hope they do watch it, because I really want to thank them for participating in the program. We do have, oh yes, Bob is here and Pam's here.
And Ellie. All right.
So without them, this program would not have succeeded. And when I say it succeeded, it succeeded far beyond what we thought it would. And I'm really happy for that. And I also want to thank the council, because I feel every day I'm truly blessed to be working with a council that's like-minded in our goals for sustainability. I don't think every town has that, but you guys have been a crucial part of moving forward in our sustainable goals. And I want to thank our staff, because they did a ton of work, and I know that they're happy that they don't have to weigh those buckets anymore and write down all of the information that that led to the numbers that I'm going to present to you tonight. And I want to thank this guy too. He's been a big help. So if you open up the food report, I want to run through the program just to give you guys, just to remind you what it was. I know Paul wasn't here when we adopted this, so I just wanted to give a quick run through. If you want to follow through with me, you can. So what was our food recycling pilot program? It was a 9-month study with approximately 100 houses to collect data and find out if we could instill a plan or program of collecting food scraps on a larger scale, and how much waste it would eliminate from the food it would eliminate from the waste stream, and how much money the town could save if we scaled it up to a higher level. And I do just want to remind you guys that when we instilled this program, this pilot program, it wasn't, the pilot program itself wasn't about saving money. It was about finding out whether or not in the future we could save money. So it was about economics and environment. We wanted to get as much out of the waste stream as possible, out of our landfills and out of our oceans, and that's what the goal was. And there was demand for this. Pam was one of the people that was in demand of it, and our green team, they really wanted this program. We already have a lot of people backyard composting, and that's huge, but this could be on another level successful. So what were the program components? So we needed to buy, we started out with 48-gallon totes, but then we have repurposed those for another use, because the Trenton Renewables, or Natural Upcycle, supplied us with their own. But we will, if we move forward, we'll need to use our own totes, so we're keeping these just in case. We needed to buy a storage shed, one that would discourage critters, and it would be big enough to house all of our cans that we have there. And then this is just a little snippet from the application that I'm sure Pam and my other participants will tell you, was extensive. We really did a great job of vetting the people that we invited into our program. And then each household that was accepted into the program was given a 5-gallon white bucket. It was durable, leak-proof, easy to wash. I thought it was easy to wash, but you see some of the conditions of the buckets that came into the recycling center, and maybe it wasn't as easy as I thought. But they were also provided with a leak-proof, airtight lid, and what we found was that was great for some people, but I guess I participated in it myself, and you don't smell it when the bucket's closed, but yeah, I recommend when you add food scraps to it, you do it outside. Whenever I would see my kids about to throw food away, I'd be like, in the bucket, and they'd be like, but Dad, I don't want to open up the bucket because it smelled so bad. So I also gave you on the next page, this was our label that we put out of the things we took in the program, and these are things that you can't backyard compost legally in the state. We took all food: beans, bones, bread, coffee filters, grounds, dairy, eggshells, eggs, food soiled napkins. And one of the things that you won't see on this list that if we scaled up in the future is pizza boxes. Greasy pizza boxes can, if we scaled this up, that's a problem solved, because they can't be recycled anymore. But now, if we were able to scale this program up and do it really the way we wanted to, that would be another thing we can take out of the waste stream. And on my next page, hey, hi Pam, there you are. Residents would transfer their food from their countertop container to our bucket, and then they would weigh their bucket and weigh their garbage, and they would fill out an online form, and they would enter all that data, which we collected. And what we found was that some people did and some people didn't. That's why we weighed the buckets at the recycling center, is because some people fudged the weights. They wanted to be part of the program, they just didn't want to do the work. And we called them out on it through email every time we weighed the bucket and it didn't match what they had entered in the program. And then they finally did get on board, so that was correctable that way. So how do we collect the buckets? As you know, our recycling center is a drive-through. No one gets out of the car, so our attendants, they would open up the trunk, remove the buckets from the vehicle, and then the attendant would take it and weigh it, and they would take down the weights on our form that had each individual name on it, and it would go next to their weight. And the carts are plastic lined, but the buckets aren't. And Natural Upcycle would come and they would take them and they cleaned the cans for us. We had, almost nothing to do with cleaning the cans. It was great. And this is a copy of the weekly survey that participants took a part of. And then the costs. So we were lucky enough at the last minute to qualify for a grant, which paid $3,000 towards the overall purchase of $5,386. So we ended up only spending $2,386 on the startup for the program. And this is our waste hauler, Natural Upcycle. They are a company that services a lot of the large supermarkets in our area. So we were lucky to stumble across them because they were already here. Our original plan was to haul it ourselves to New York and Conshohocken, I think is the name of the town. And it was an hour and 15 minutes each way. And it was going to waste a lot of fuel and emissions, diesel emissions. And we literally just stumbled across them and through Trenton Renewables. So the next page, that's where we took it. Trenton Renewables is a completely sustainable company that focuses on renewable energy. They're low cost, and they charge I think $65 a ton for the food waste, and they power their plant with it, and then the end product they produce a really high-quality compost for your gardens that they sell. So what did we find? We had a pleasant surprise. We went into this thinking we were going to remove about 20% of the waste from people's homes, and consistently all the way through the program, we checked it midway, it was around 53%, and that's a mean average. That's not what everyone found. Some people, it was about 20%. Some people found that it was 90% of what was coming out of their homes. But overall, it was about, as a group, it was about 53% of what we removed from the households. So, how much did we remove overall? We removed over the length of the program 16 tons of food waste from the food stream in this program, with running just under 100 houses, and that's a lot. And I know that that some people will say that trucking it to Trenton is not optimal, and they're right. But what you have to keep in mind is that if it went into the garbage, it goes to our transfer station, and then that has to be shipped anywhere from 80 to 425 miles to a landfill. So when overall it's really not that bad. It's still not optimal, but it's not that bad. And the big question that everybody wants to know is, did it save us any money? So the short answer for the pilot program was no, because that's not what we intended. It was not a huge cost to the town, but if you look at it like this, we took 7,500 tons of household garbage. That's what the village produced in 2021. Okay, so let's say an average, if I'm not going to use the 53% because I don't think that everybody's household would, if we took that out, would hit that number. So let's say 25% of that. We'll take half of that. If we could remove that from the waste stream, then that would save us in tipping fees alone $29,000 a year. And there's also costs that we haven't even realized yet. You know, if we scale this program up, then we're looking at not only the tipping fees, but the trucking fees, the fuel costs, the emissions, the labor of providing the rear yard service, you know, because the tonnage will go down eventually if we scale this up. And if we could even take 25%, that's 1,875 tons if we remove that from the waste stream, and I think that's a huge savings, and that's just the start. You know, our goal is to do more than that, but you know, that's and that's just if that's working off the $65 a ton that Trenton Renewables charges us, because right, our first step is I think we need to eliminate the hauler. Okay, that's why we incurred charges. But the $65 a ton is $15.49 less a ton than what we pay to get rid of garbage. So if we could find a way to locally bring this to a place ourselves without having to have a hauler, then those savings would be immediate, because we'd go down to just paying the tipping fee of $65. And I think it's important that we keep this program moving, because if we don't, and we haven't, the pilot program's over, but you know, we still collect the food waste at the center at a very minimal cost per month. I think it's like $300. And I do think it's important to keep the program going, because down the line with the new bills that are being passed in the state, if we don't keep it going, we're going to fall behind, and we're going to not be eligible for grants in the future, we're so far ahead of everybody else right now because of this pilot program that we're going to be first in line when they start to build the resources locally, because these restaurants with this new bill are going to be, big producers of food are going to need a place to bring their stuff, and they're not going to want to bring it to Trenton. They're not going to want to bring it, anywhere to South Jersey, the northern restaurants. So I think that in the future, somewhere closer, there's going to be an option for us to bring this ourselves and not have to use a trucking company, and that'll be immediate. But the overall goal is to eliminate even the tipping fees, and keep exploring ways that we can locally compost it ourselves, or use the water pollution control facility to do anaerobic digestion, and then you take that 25% and that number completely goes away. Then we're not paying, and all we're paying is the labor fee to collect it, and we could scale it up to a curbside program. That's our overall goal. But we have to move cautiously and slowly, I think. So the next step, what I would like to do is increase the program to 150 people and start to introduce other drop-off sites throughout town. So if you see, I put a picture in of what another town uses. I'd like to put one of these at the sanitation garage, and not permanently. Maybe put it there on like a Tuesday night, and then all Wednesday when the recycling center is closed, people will have another option to get rid of their buckets. And then after Wednesday, when we close, we collect the bucket, we collect the container and the containers inside of it, and bring them to the recycling center. And depending on how much we collect there, maybe start to introduce other sites, and grow again. Maybe we revisit it in 6 months and see if it's feasible to add another 50 people. And that's how you scale it up. The other thing is, I think we really need to stay focused on the educational part of it. So the last page you have there is a food recovery hierarchy. And if you look down on the chart and look where composting is as favorable options, composting is still down at the bottom. And so I think that I would love to start to educate residents on, because where we need to be is in the purple on top. I really want to start educating them on source reduction. And that's part of what this program was built on. That was part of its foundation, is to try and train people on how to buy groceries properly and not overspend, not overshop, buy things on sale, freeze it, cook less, and throw away less. I use this example all the time. One of the first customers that we had at the recycling center when we started the program brought in his bucket, and we opened it, and inside of it was nothing but a whole watermelon. And I just looked at him, and I walked to his car, and I said, listen, I appreciate the fact that you're bringing this here, but this is not what we want. I want the rinds when you're done with the watermelon. And so he understood that, and yeah, I didn't want to discourage him from coming, but at the same time, we have to teach people how to shop better and don't buy food that you're not going to eat. And I think that's something that we really need to focus our goal on. And also, we are about to introduce another program in the recycling center that I think you guys will be excited about. We're going to start collecting used and expired vegetable-based oils. And there is no if we collect enough of it, we're going to have a 200-gallon container there, and I think if we can fill that once a month, then we will get paid for it. But if we don't collect that much, then we won't incur any charges. They collect it for free. The placement is free. But our goal is to get enough product to fill it once a month, and then if we do that, we get 40 to 70 cents per gallon, which and we get it out of the waste stream. Right now, it's a problem because people don't know how to get rid of it. They go and they dump it in the Graden Pool parking lot dumpster, and then the truck squeezes it, and it pops everywhere, and then we have grease all over the streets, and it's a big problem. So getting it out of the waste stream is important. Any questions?
I have many questions.
I figured you would.
I am fascinated by all of this, and I love your approach that if we don't keep it going, we are going to fall behind. I don't remember exactly when it was that we banned plastic bags in the community, a year or 2 years ago, and at the time, a lot of the people in the CBD, the business owners, were trying to figure out how this was going to work. And to say that it happened seamlessly is an understatement. And when I go to other communities and buy something and they hand me a plastic bag, I am befuddled. Like, you haven't gotten rid of this yet? And of course, as we know, I think on May 4th, everyone is getting rid of them. So it is good to be ahead of the curve. I think that we are momentarily ahead of the curve, but the curve will catch up with us. So, so you talked about scaling this up. One of the things I know about recycling is it must be made so easy for the homeowner, or else it won't happen. When we, many years ago, began recycling glass, if you remember, the local rules usually required that the homeowner separate glass by color. And then aluminum cans and tin cans, and you needed a separate container, which I don't know many kitchens that can have that much room. So they eventually came to commingled, and that was the panacea. So is the goal here to make it so that we ultimately pick up food waste from everyone's home the same way we pick up commingled in newspapers and cardboard?
That is the goal, and I hope that we get there. I think it's a long way away. That's why I said we need to move slowly and cautiously, but definitely keep moving forward. And that's, I think that in the recycling business, you can't afford to go backwards or to stall. You always have to be moving forward. You don't have to be moving forward at 100 miles an hour, but you do have to keep moving forward. And that's why, I think that scaling it to 150 people to start and see how it goes. And they'll still have to fill out the application. They won't have to do all the weekly work. But we've already found, since the program ended, I think people thought that once the pilot program ended, that it was just a free-for-all. So we have people going out and buying the buckets. It's the same Gamma lids, but they're different colors. And I see them, and I'm like, I've never seen this person before. Where did she come from? And she's like, I can't just bring myself, but I'm happy that they are. Those are the people. So I give them I give them my card. I say, send me an email, and I'll send you the link to join the program officially. And now we're up to about 105 people already.
And that's really incredible, absolutely incredible. I'm impatient. I would love to see this thing scaled up, and obviously you need a local market to get rid of the compost. And you mentioned composting it ourselves someday.
So we did have another plan. We're still working on another plan, and I would love, and again, there's legislation out there that I'm hoping moves forward that is giving an exemption to places like that do what we do to run a Class C facility. And if we could, we have the facility to do it. I would love to be able to scale this program up and compost it ourselves, because that, to me, is better than anaerobic, because we're giving it back to the land.
Would the goal be to somehow combine this at our leaf composting facility?
I would hope so. That's where we have the facility to do it.
And what would that involve?
I'm sorry?
What would that involve? What are the hurdles?
That would involve the legislation being passed first off, and then we would have to figure out whether or not we're far enough away from the residents on Goffle Road to do that. And there are other options of building a almost like one of those aluminum sheds that you see in farms.
Yep.
Where it's enclosed and inside a building, and it doesn't have to be the size of what the compost center is, what we do of leaves on one end and fringe on there, but it could be small, but it could start that way.
And is it feasible that this could be cost effective, that
100%.
it would actually save money?
100%, because everything you'd be taking out of every ton that you take out of the waste stream, you're saving $80.49.
So, and I don't know if you've done the analytics on this, but would the cost of sending trucks around, trucks and personnel, to collect the food waste, and the cost of running the facility outweigh the cost of our tipping fees for this by taking it out of the waste stream?
Absolutely. If we could, and again, it's not like right off the scale, no, because you have to put money forward to pay for it. But in the long run, yes, absolutely.
So is the only thing standing in the way of this legislation?
No, there are many, many, many leaps and bounds that we have to take right now. There's a lot of hurdles in our way. So, but that's just one of them.
I just want to mention, too, our leaf composting facility is governed by the DEP, so we would have to get DEP approval in order to put this at that location. So I don't know if they'd be amenable to it or not, and it's certainly something we can explore, but I don't want to guarantee we could put it there because they may decide they don't want it there.
No, I understand completely. Somehow I have a feeling that if this were doable there, the DEP would like to see it there. And there are many hurdles, as you say, that I am completely unaware of, and reasons perhaps not to do it. My personal feeling, I don't know how the rest of the council feels about this, I would love to see a plan that scales this up with trucks, structures, personnel, because, putting aside the incredible value of taking 25 or 30 or 40% of our waste out of the waste stream, which has all the benefits that we all want. If it could be a break even, well, now it's a no-brainer. And again, I know that I just said something that sounds really simple. I know it's anything but. But I would love to see that plan.
Yeah, and the other part of it is, again, I think that I know that we want a program that's going to save the town money, but I also feel like this is something that that we have a responsibility to do for the environment.
I agree with you completely. That if it costs us money, we need to consider it seriously. But if, as you say, it would definitely save us money, then I would love to see Ridgewood lead on this and apply to the DEP and lobby Trenton for the legislation for this program and make the investment, and perhaps, because we would be leading on this, get grants that would help us finance the initial investment, which would be substantial. So I, for one, like I said, would love to see a plan developed to scale it up to that level. Sean, thank you so much. Great presentation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
As opposed to the leaf composting area, I would like to know if it could be done at the water pollution control facility, because there's a building there. And if we could use the biogas, if I'm using the right term, from that digester, then we have fuel. And then we
100%.
can-
And that's the idea, is that,
Yeah.
I don't, with the amount that of food waste that we're talking about, I don't think that it's feasible to just do the composting part of it, but I would like to make some of it compost. I would love to utilize both and say we're going to give, what we can't process at aerobically, then we go anaerobic with it and give it to Chris and let him, process it there and power his plant and sell it back, sell the energy back to the gas company.
In terms of getting grants, if you need help from Green Ridgewood, let us know,
I will.
since we don't have a grant writer, and I know that staff is limited.
Yeah, we've hired outside of, that's how we got the grant for this one. We had someone outside write it for us.
That's all.
Mr. Hamlin, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I remember maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Green Ridgewood started looking into this. I know member George Wolfson was big on it. And the progress that you've made is amazing, because all the hurdles that you talked about were even more back then, and the committee could only do so much. I think the closest outfit was somebody in New York, and there is no infrastructure in place for this. And it's an idea that was out there in some select communities, but it wasn't widespread. So we figured, how could we do this? Are we going to drive it all the way to New York? Or, we kept running into these roadblocks. But, with your leadership on this and your vision, you've really gotten us to this point. You've gotten us over a lot of the initial hurdles. And if the rest of the state catches up with us, eventually the infrastructure will be in place. And if we're able to do this on the scale that we can do it now, I think as everything kind of catches up, then again, like you said, we'll remain ahead of the curve, or we can stay ahead of the curve. And I think this is fantastic. I don't know that the DEP would be so good and I don't think they want to see the leaf composting facility at the composting facility. They're kind of tough, but I mean,
So we did have a separate idea, and we did place a call. I don't know if you remember when we started this, we were going to work. The place in New York was called.
Right, yeah, because that was the information that we had.
Yeah. So, what they do, they have a lot of places. Like they work with Jersey City, and Jersey City has places where they have little food composting facilities that Clean Compost, the Community Compost Center manages. So if New Jersey doesn't get its act together, then what I'd like to do is maybe find a little spot just across the border in one of the closer towns, and see if Community Compost Center, if we can work together and maybe rent that spot and use that as a place to dump our food waste and have them manage it. That would be another positive for us if this doesn't. But again, I think that if we stay diligent and then keep this program going, and when the door opens, we should be ready to kick it down.
I agree 100%. I would support this. I always supported this. I thought it was a great idea. The results have been better than I would have expected, because food's soggy and heavy, and you knew it would take a good portion of the weight out of the tipping fees, but
it did.
On average,
again, these numbers far exceeded what I thought we were going to do.
Yeah. So thank you again for getting us to this point, and I'd love to see it scaled up.
Oh, in the backs of your packets, I included copies of the first and second update on what we did. If you turn to the back, you'll see them. So you can thumb through those, and there's some fun stuff in there that you guys can read. And there's some great comments from our participants that we added in there, and they are just so passionate about it. And if we can get 1,000 people as passionate as them into this program, it's gonna be awesome.
Sounds like a home run.
I want to thank both Mr. Calby and Mr. Hamlin for their work on this project, and it's certainly something that's very exciting and something we can look forward to, and I do look forward to increasing it somewhat, at least at the end of the year. I don't know that we'll be able to do village-wide. Certainly, as you said, it takes a lot of time and effort and money up front, but certainly I think it's exciting that we'll be able to scale it up somewhat, at least. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you
just
for having
like
me.
the
Always
council,
my pleasure.
It's the first time I've seen this information, too. They said we did well, but they didn't tell me how well. So I'm so impressed with how well we did. And, that's just 105 people. So imagine we have,
And
8,000 households. So we can
to give you an idea of what 16 tons is, right? So our trucks packed garbage is about 10 tons, and this is when we haul this stuff, it's loose, so it's not packed. So 16 tons of food scraps, if you look at the picture that I put in there, that's probably 6 or 7 of those trucks. Wow. That's how much food waste. When you really think about it, it's a lot.
It is, and it's being reused. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to discussion items. Our first two are for Ridgewood Water. It's a Green Acres major diversion and then also Green Acres minor diversion for the Linwood Avenue well, which is a portion of Maple Park and Graydon Park. My belief is we have to file both because we're not sure if Green Acres is going to think this is a major or minor diversion. Is that correct, Mr. Kelby?
Actually, they're both required because the diversion both has a major and minor portion. The major portion was for the well, and the minor is for the underground piping. Okay. So both resolutions are need to support the application.
Okay.
There's one typo. In both, it's the same. It's the 4th paragraph. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood wishes to apply to approval, I think it should be for approval.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
I have it. We'll change it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Moving on to parking.
Yes. We have nothing under
There's
parking.
none.
Budget.
Easy.
The first item is purchase of drones for our Ridgewood Police Department. They'd like to purchase a drone which will assist during large gatherings, such as downtown for the holidays, July 4th, Ridgewood High School graduation, helping to find missing persons or locating a burglary suspect. They were able to test a loaned drone from Bergen County a couple of years ago during a large gathering in the Central Business District, and it was very useful. The drone may also help Ridgewood Fire Department on fire scenes, the Water Department, be able to see their tanks and pump houses, as well as used by other departments. They'd like to award a contract under state contract to terrestrial imaging of Brick, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $9,197.76. This will come from the Police Department capital budget. Just so you know, there is a typo on the second page. It does say this bid expires 4/5/22. Actually, it's 4/5/24. So we are good under that contract. This actually was put into the capital budget last year, and because this was expiring so soon, we didn't get a chance to purchase it. So this is our first drone we'll be purchasing. It includes other equipment as well and charging devices. So this is something that that will assist our police department in various endeavors.
Questions or comments?
Yes,
Okay,
I know we
sure.
discussed this before, but I realize now I have some more questions.
Okay.
I know nothing about drones.
Okay.
Do you have to subscribe to something in order to operate one? It's not like Netflix.
No.
Okay, and does it stream the image as well as record?
That I don't know. I can find out.
And can it see at night?
I believe so, but I will double check that.
It has thermal imaging.
Yeah, that's what I
And that
thought.
means
You could
That
see
would
be
body
at
heat
night.
and
Body
everything,
heat.
so
Okay,
you could
that's
see
what
the
I
heat
thought
through
it meant.
anything.
Yeah.
It's
And I have
basically-
very little knowledge about drones, but my son-in-law has a couple of drones, and I know that his drones, which are far more basic than this, stream to a control panel so he can see in front of him what the drone can see. So I'm going to guess that this one certainly does the same.
Well, I would hope it records as well if we're using it for, say, following a burglary suspect, as is written here. And also, I don't remember what the life expectancy of these things was, the useful life expectancy
It has to
was.
be at least 5 years for it to be in a capital budget, so,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know if it's, how much further than that.
Can we trade it in at the end of 5 years?
I don't know. I can find
I'm
out.
also going to guess that in 5 years, this
It'll be
is a
outdated.
dinosaur,
Yeah,
Oh, so
the
we
way
surplus it.
technology is changing.
yes.
Okay. That's all I
Okay.
wanted.
Okay, moving on.
Next is disposal of yard waste and grass clippings. Quotes were solicited for 3 vendors for the disposal of ground, yard waste, and grass clippings from the Lakeview compost facility. We received 1 quote from RVH Mulch Supply of Wyckoff, New Jersey, not to exceed $22 per cubic yard, a total not to exceed $75,000. This comes from the operating budget. They accept both yard waste and grass clippings. In the past, we've had to have 2 different vendors, so they'll be able to accept both, and we are required to truck it to their recycling facility in West Milford. If we do experience a good growing season, as we did last year, additional awards may be needed. Just so everyone's aware, we're prohibited from disposing of our yard waste materials in our leaf compost facility by our permit from the NJDEP. So that's why when we talked about possibly doing food waste disposal there, I'm not so sure DEP is going to allow it.
Right.
But the next one is awarding contract for tree removals in various locations. This is a continuation of removing the ash trees throughout the village that are infected with the emerald ash borer. The low bid that they received this year, it was 2 bids. The low bid was from Dujet's Tree Experts, Inc. of Woodland Park, New Jersey. Their quote was $179,450. They've worked for us in the past. They actually were the successful bidder for removing the trees in 2021. The work will be funded from the 2022 capital budget.
This is so sad and painful. So has Declan looked at each of these trees, that is our arborist, and decided that they must come down and cannot be treated and sustained?
Yes, these are the ones that he's indicated have to be removed.
Okay.
Those others were treated, as you recall, how many were there, 20 or something?
Yeah.
15, something like that. So they were treated, and hopefully that will prolong their lives. But these are the ones that need to be removed, unfortunately.
Yep.
The next one is authorizing a change order for tree removals. This is regarding the West Glen Avenue sidewalks. So the contract that Dujet's had from last year, which is the same, they bid again this year, they also used it for West Glen Avenue because it's in various locations. So they needed an additional tree removal for the sidewalk work that's taking place on West Glen, and it was not quoted in change order number 1. So the cost for that work, which is $1,400, is actually in this resolution for change order number 2, and the funding is in the capital budget.
Questions or comments?
Was it already removed? I see a date of November 15th.
Yeah, I believe it was removed, and we did not realize that that change order was necessary. The next one is accepting a grant for the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services. Our municipal alliance every year receives grant monies for programs for prevention of alcoholism and drug abuse. This is an additional grant opportunity for youth leadership. It will allow high school age students to learn from certified consultants leadership skills and resiliency techniques to support teens in making better choices to be a positive role model to their peers. In addition, this training will increase the number of teens engaging in healthy community-based activities, enabling them to veer away from negative behaviors. The amount of this leadership grant, which runs from July 1st, 2022 through March 14th, 2023, is part of a 3-year grant cycle, and it's $4,620. So the Village Council needs to consider a resolution for adoption to authorize the submission of the grant application.
Okay, questions, comments?
All right.
On.
The next one is the release of escrowed funds for the Benjamin, which we all know is the multifamily building on Franklin Avenue. It's been deemed completed by the Ridgewood Building Department, the Planning Board, and the Engineering Division. The Finance Department currently has $11,093.40, which can now be released to the owners of the Benjamin.
Okay. Questions, comments? Moving
The
on.
next one is resolicitation of proposals from Municipal Energy Aggregation Program. When we did go out for the first time for proposals, we did not receive any. We did advertise in the local newspaper as well as the online bid services that we normally use. So this resolution, which you'll consider at May 11th, will acknowledge the receipt of the proposals, the results of the proposal receipt, which is that there were none, and to reissue the request for proposals so we can go out again.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I think one of the reasons we didn't get bids is because we followed Sustainable Jersey's template, and it's titled in a way that doesn't really tell the companies what we're looking for. And we need to make it clear that what we're looking for here is an energy consultant to help us and counsel us in order to hire a vendor who's the supplier of the electricity. So here, where it's in bold, where it says in the resolution, request for proposals for, and insert there, energy consultant regarding municipal energy aggregation, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And then also, Matt and I were speaking that could we add a clause here to say that if in this round we get no bids, then council approves direct communication with the with energy consultant companies.
Isn't that the case anyway by state law? So we don't really need to put it in there.
It doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be in there,
Okay.
but we're allowed to do it. If we don't get any responses to this next one, then we're allowed to go out and search.
Okay, and we don't need a resolution.
Don't need a resolution to do that.
Okay.
If we hire somebody, then we'll need a resolution. If we
Right.
find somebody.
All right,
Okay.
moving on, I guess.
The next one is under operations. The American Dream Estates is located at 463 Van Amberg Avenue in Washington Township, right on the border of Ridgewood. They proposed 66 dwelling units, and the wastewater created from these dwellings will drain into the village sanitary sewer collection system. The process requires an authorized representative of the village to review and sign the DEP's treatment works approval permit application for this development. The village representative must be authorized to execute it via village council resolution. Chris Ruthershauser, our village engineer, has signed such applications in the past on behalf of the village. So basically, this resolution that you'll consider again on May 11th will authorize Chris Ruthershauser, our engineer, to sign this treatment works application.
Questions or comments? All right.
The next one is authorizing the renewal of our online auction services. So we participate in Sourcewell, as you know. We award a lot of contracts through Sourcewell. They provide online surplus auctions of government service surplus materials, and it's specifically Gov Deals, which we deal with. That contract actually has lapsed, so we have to consider a resolution for adoption to renew the village using Gov Deals under Sourcewell to dispose of our surplus village property, and for the new extension of the contract. Just as with the drones, it had expired. This has expired. We now need to go to the new contract.
Okay, questions or comments? All right, so with that, that's our agenda. We'll go back to public comment, not to exceed 5 minutes per person. Good evening.
Good evening. Bob Upton, 172 West Glen Avenue and Green Ridgewood Chair. I wanted to speak tonight to commend all the village leaders for supporting the work that the recycling department is doing with regard to food waste and EPS, which we like to refer to as EPS. The general common term is styrofoam, but the EPS recycling that we're undertaking. And of course, in particular, I want to commend Sean and Rich for all the work that they do. Sean has been tremendously supportive to our efforts to do this. As a little aside to Paul's remarks, I can tell you that about 65 years ago, when I was a kid in England, everybody put out their food waste. They were called pig bins. I don't know if it was used for feeding pigs, but it was just a no-brainer that every family did it. It's just a matter of education. The Sustainable Jersey Bergen Hub, I attend their meetings, and there's probably about 20 towns from Bergen County that participate. And the hub started the EPS recycling with a Sustainable Jersey grant, and that program is continuing throughout the county. There are collections going on this coming weekend and beyond. Ridgewood participated in that. Sean, again, helped us to do our part of that. But I can tell you that right now Ridgewood is being heralded as a trailblazer now because of the leadership that Ridgewood is showing. And the other towns are very eager to come and see the densifier for the EPS, and also they're hoping, and I know Sean and Rich are looking at this potentially down the road to maybe accept EPS from other towns as well. So that's something to be considered. The hub also tried for a grant for food waste a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, we were not successful in getting the grant. But once again, as this program is developed, the surrounding towns will also see us as trailblazers with the food waste collection as well. So those are my comments about recycling effort. However, the village manager did mention the West Glen Avenue sidewalk project, which prompts me to just comment that I have asked again the engineering department if they can tell me when and if the work is going to start, which is going to directly impact my house. And it's very frustrating not to know what's going to happen. Some of you are aware that my wife and I are in the process of relocating. We've got a contract on a house in Morristown, and we'll be putting our house on the market soon. And again, it's when we're talking to prospective buyers and we're talking to realtors, it's going to be very difficult not to be able to tell them what's going on. I spoke to Jovan a little while ago and asked him, aren't you working on the design work? You can't start this project without a design. And he said they will be working on the design, but he had to understand some of the county rules. And I don't understand why you didn't find out the rules before you did the other side of West Glen. I don't know if there's different rules. So again, I would like somebody from engineering to start talking to me and the other neighbors about what's going to be done, when it's going to be done, and how it's going to impact our individual homes. So I hadn't intended to talk on that tonight, but since the topic was raised. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Boyd A. Loving, 342 South Irving Street. This is the second time I've come to discuss an item that has appeared on the agenda for the second time, and that is the drones. The last time I spoke, I indicated that there is significant amount of training required to operate a drone. You need to be FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, certified to operate one of these things, particularly a $10,000 drone. The village manager tonight indicated that the drone would be used by the police department, the fire department, the water department, maybe other departments. I need to remind the manager at this time again, as I did the last time, that anybody who operates one of these needs to be FAA certified. So you just don't pass it from one department to another like you would pass a cell phone around. This is a very complex piece of equipment, and there is a significant amount of liability associated with operating one of these. For instance, the Gannett Corporation in New Jersey, when they put one up for news business, they have an operator and a watcher. That's how dangerous these things are. When I asked the last time about what the training process was going to be for operators, the manager indicated that the police chief said there was some online course for free that might be available. I discourage that. If that is true, the operators for these things need to be sent to classroom training. You just don't read a course online and know how to operate it. And the FAA certification requires that you go in person to take a test. To date, there has been no discussion by the council about how many people are going to be trained and how much the training is going to cost. There has just been a discussion that the drone is going to cost $10,000. The other thing I spoke about the last time was that the FAA rules for drones are going to change effective September 16th, 2023. Any drone that is currently manufactured and sold will be obsolete on that date because something called remote ID will need to be equipped with every drone. If your drone is not capable and not broadcasting remote ID, which enables somebody with a computer to know who is operating the drone that's flying over them, you can't operate the drone. So, in short, if you spend $10,000 on a drone today, it's going to be obsolete 14 months from now, 15 months from now. When I mentioned this the last time, somebody quipped, and I don't know who quipped, well, things get obsolete very fast nowadays anyway. I remind you, this is $10,000 of taxpayer money. My suggestion would be to stop and not approve this at your next public meeting until you get a complete report of what sort of training is going to take place for people to operate these, and get some sort of assurance from the manufacturer or vendor for this drone that it is going to be capable of being equipped with the necessary module so that the drone can fly after September 16th, 2023. If it is not, you are wasting $10,000 of taxpayer money. Hope everybody heard me this time, because apparently last time when I said the exact same thing, nobody heard me, and we're back again with the same $10,000 drone. Okay? Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for pointing that out to us, Boyd. We'll look into it and find out what the story is.
Anyone else? Seeing none, can I get a motion to
Let me
adjourn?
just comment a couple things. Mr. Upton, we don't have a completed plan yet, so that's why we haven't called in the neighbors. We will. You may sell your house before we have the completed plan. I know it's difficult for you, but unfortunately, we don't have that at this time. So, but once we do, we will be calling in the neighbors. Mr. Loving, thank you for mentioning that. We will look into that further, and you know far more than I do, so I appreciate you giving us that information.
Okay. Well, then with that, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Good night, everyone.